This episode of the Nocturnal Disney Podcast is brought to you by Palms and Parks. They are high-quality t-shirts and tank tops that have cool, fun designs that help show off your love for Disney in a unique and smart way. Visit them at palmsandparks.com and check out what their store has to offer. There's something there for everyone. The time is now, on an evening very much like the one we have recorded on. Tonight's episode of Nocturnal Disney is somewhat unique. It calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a recorded podcast, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you to listen through because in tonight's episode, you are the star. And this show takes us directly to the Nocturnal Disney Podcast.
I'm bringing the party to you.
Look, I really don't want to hurt you.
I wouldn't stress about it.
Give it to Ronan so he can destroy the galaxy?
What are you, some saint all of a sudden? What has the galaxy ever done for you? Why would you want to save it?
Because I'm one of the idiots who lives in it!
Peter. You have a metal arm? That is awesome, dude!
I wear them front. I wear them back. I
go
inside out. Then I go front and back.
Dad! What is this thing? Look how it thinks it's so cool. It's not cool to get help. Walk by yourself, you little gargoyle.
I'm the boss. I'm Clint.
I don't care.
You couldn't have done that earlier.
I hate you.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Thank you for joining me for episode 12 of the Nocturnal Disney Podcast on September 1st, 2018. My name is Bryce. I appreciate you listening. If you want to join in our discussion, you can join me on Facebook. Just search the Nocturnal Disney Podcast and join our little group. You can email me at nocturnaldisney@gmail.com, and that email is actually going to be changing next week, just a heads up. And you can say something quick to me on Twitter at Disney Nocturnal. You can also find me on Instagram at the Nocturnal Disney Podcast, all separated by underscores. We have a handful of stories tonight, but then me, Chris, and Klein are going to give you our top 5 Marvel movies in honor of Infinity War coming out on Blu-ray recently. But for now, let's just jump into it. Good morning. I'm checking in with the Midnight Report. Let's fire away. The Caribbean Beach Resort is going through some massive changes right now. And for me, resorts are just restaurants with rooms that you can stay in. I love the food at Disney, and I love the restaurants in the resorts. So when I heard that all these changes were going on at Caribbean Beach, I was curious as to what was going to happen with Shutters and the Centertown Market. Well, like I said, the Caribbean Beach Resort had Shutters, and I never got to eat there. And unfortunately, I never will, because it's actually being taken over by Sebastian's Bistro. Sebastian's Bistro is going in right where Shutters used to be, so it's still looking over Barefoot Bay. And from the sounds of things, it's going to be a very relaxed place to eat, which is always nice. Who wants to be rushed while you eat dinner? You know what I'm saying? But especially at Disney World, because there's so much to do and so much to see that if you're relaxing, sometimes it feels like you're wasting time. And it's your vacation. You know, I understand trying to get as much in as possible, but you need to relax. You need to have fun. You need to unwind. So for Disney to put into one of their restaurants this whole vibe and, feel of, just relax, take your time, slow down, take a breath, and enjoy yourself. I think that's really cool of Disney. And it's the Caribbean Beach Resort, and it's Sebastian's Bistro. So I'm sure you can kind of guess what kind of, ambiance the restaurant's going to have. And if you guessed Air Desert, you would be wrong. It's the nautical theme, which is good and bad. You know what I'm saying? The designers that Disney uses to decorate their grounds and their restaurants, they're incredible. They're really, really good at what they do. However, for whatever reason, people have a tendency to overblow the nautical theme, and I don't know why. they just way overdo it, and specifically the nautical theme is super easy to overdo. They said it's supposed to feel like you're stepping into a beachfront home, which is nice, and here, I'm going to read this directly from the website, okay? It says, as you can see, every detail celebrates the natural beauty of the Caribbean. From coral patterns and kelp filigree to lure-inspired art and nautical designs. And again, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I want this to look like a nice area, but just from that description, I can see how someone could easily overdo the nautical theme. Obviously, if it's tastefully done, it will be great. And odds are that's what Disney's going to do because it's Disney, but still, it does give me a little bit of worry, so I guess I'm just going to have to wait for Sebastian's Bistro to open. Like I said, the other dining spot that the Caribbean Beach Resort has is the Centertown Market. And that'd be like your counter service situation, you know what I'm saying? They're making it look more like a street market, and I think that's really cool. Again, going back to that real laid-back island feel. I think that's awesome. Now, if you listened to me during the last run of this show, you might remember that Disney was going to be building a luxury hotel out in Anaheim for Disneyland. It was going to be a 700-room resort. But that whole plan was based on Disney getting a huge tax break from the city on their transient occupancy tax. It works out to be 15% a night. Well, according to that agreement, this tax break that Anaheim would be giving back would be 70% of that tax for the next 20 years. That worked out to be $267 million. Disney applied for that tax break back in 2016. They said they were going to build it at 1401 Disneyland Drive, which is on the northern end of the property. But now, a couple years later, Disney thinks to itself, maybe we put it down by downtown Disney at 1601 Disneyland Drive, which is a quarter mile away. Well, now Anaheim is saying that if they do that, they won't be eligible for those tax breaks anymore. Why? It's less than a mile away. Because when Disney applied for approval, they used the 1401 Disneyland Drive address. So legally, the subsidies apply to that address and that address only. They're in talks now trying to figure it out, but Disney thinks that without the tax breaks, the resort won't be financially viable. And at first you hear that and you're like, come on. You're Disney. You have the money. You have it. Just make it. Well, remember, to get that break, Disney had to build a 4-star resort. And that's no joke. You have to sink a lot of money into a 4-star resort. Then on top of that, now Anaheim won't be giving them the $267 million that Disney thought it would be getting. And on top of that, as of right now, Disney is on the hook to buy the Fox movie division for $71.3 billion. That deal hasn't gone through quite yet. The government still has to approve it. But if the government comes back and says, yeah, that's a good deal, we approve, Disney has to pay that money. They are in a very different spot than they were 2 years ago. Sure, they have the movies coming out, making bank left and right, but then you also have the second Bay Lake Tower that they planned on building out here in Florida. You have the expansion going on right now at Caribbean Beach. You have the hanging gondolas going in. They're going to connect the Caribbean Beach to Art of Animation and Hollywood Studios. You have to build the stations for those. You have to build the tracks for that. And you have to keep paying for all these movies to come out. The point I'm trying to make is Disney has a lot of money going out. Do they have a lot of money coming in? Absolutely. I'm not trying to say feel bad for Disney, but they are in a very different place than 2 years ago. Maybe now they really can't afford a 4-star resort and not get any of these subsidies back. I mean, $267 million is a huge amount of money. Think about it this way. If Disney got that money, that would have essentially paid for the entirety of the Infinity War movie. So if you carry that over, it looks like Infinity War made over $1 billion profit, which is crazy.
And now, our feature presentation.
Hello, everyone. What we're going to do here is myself, Chris, and Klein are going to give you our top 5 Marvel movies. And just a heads up, guys, because of the nature of this top 5, there's going to be heavy spoilers throughout this show. There's going to be...
Spoiler alert.
We'll each give our bottom 3, We'll each give our number 2, and then we'll each give our number 1. Then we're going to argue these 15 movies down to one list of 5. Very simple, very easy, and I'm going to start things off because I am the host and I get that privilege.
We just want to make fun of you.
I'm not going to lie. I do too. It's going to be fun.
All right, so my number 5 is Black Panther. My number 4 is Captain America Winter Soldier. And my number 3 is Avengers Infinity War.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Number 5 was Black Panther?
Oh, yeah. I love Black Panther. It's a very, very good movie.
I agree. I agree with that.
There was a lot to put in one movie, though, and they did it. And I was at like one part where I felt like they dragged it, but the whole movie as itself, though, was really good.
What part did you think it dragged at?
It was when he died.
Yeah.
When he died, it was like really dragging along. I felt like they were dragging the audience, and then they finally got to the fight scene on the hill and stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever. That's when it picked back up again.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I can give you that.
I mean, if anything, with the Black Panther movie, I would say I sympathized so much with Killmonger. I didn't even care about Black Panther at all. I was 100% team Killmonger for sure. If anything, that's what I got out of the movie.
Dude, I loved it. I thought the way it opened was really interesting because you'd think that in that opening credits, when they're telling the story of Wakanda, that it would be T'Chaka talking to T'Challa. Then it turns out it's Killmonger's dad telling him the story of Wakanda, and that's why he knows where it is later on in the movie. I thought that was really clever in a really good way to get around a possible problem. You know what I'm saying?
Possible plot hole.
Yeah, exactly.
They covered it. There was no plot holes in that movie, I don't think, either. There was a lot of cool women, too, in that movie.
There were.
A lot of...
The bald chick, and I feel so bad because I can't remember her name right now, but she was freaking awesome in that casino scene.
She was awesome in like every scene.
She
took that spear and chucked it through the car, and it just impales into the ground, and they smash into it.
That was cool, wasn't
it? And
it?
then, I mean, I love Andy Serkis as Claw.
Me too.
I love Andy Serkis.
I was so mad that they killed him off because I'm like, I can see this. I would love watching more of him. I mean, I get why they did it, but I mean,
right.
It just sucked that they did because I really enjoyed his character.
You ever seen a jellyfish?
All right. Chris, what's your bottom 3?
I had the first Avengers.
Okay.
I had Black Panther as my number 4.
All right.
And then I had Civil War as my number 3.
I can appreciate that.
I mean, the reason why I have the Avengers on there is because I feel that that's when Marvel went from good to great. Like that's when
I agree.
Like you can literally
Sitting
see
in the theater and just getting all that. It's just amazing.
Yep. And the thing is that if you watch the movie now, there's the plot holes, some things are kind of goofy, but it is from that moment on that pretty much everything they touched after that has been nothing but solid gold. You know what I'm saying? It's been aside from Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
Aside from that movie, I feel like they just knocked it out of the park from there on out. Okay, forget what I said. There's Iron Man 3 and there's Thor: The Dark World. But I mean, I feel like it was just such a fun movie. You know, at that moment, it's never been done. There was the big question, you know, can you put that many superheroes in a movie? Can it be done successfully? Can everybody get their big moment? And, you know, just be a good movie.
If being done successfully and being a good movie are stipulations, then aside from the other Avengers movies and Captain America movies, I'd still say it's never been done before because Justice League was a train wreck.
Yeah, but that was a lot more than just that. There was so many things wrong with Justice League.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're not here to discuss that.
No,
but I'm just
that's
saying.
a whole other episode.
Let's talk about that some other time.
Exactly.
It's another podcast.
No, I love Avengers. And it was really cool because I don't know if you guys remember this or not. When Avengers came out, you could go watch Avengers and then go and walk right across the hall and go see The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was a joyous time to be alive if you enjoy comic book movies.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It was the best 5 weeks ever.
Mm-hmm. That's all I did. That's exactly what I did. I would go see Avengers, and then right after that, I would be like, you know what? I can use some Rise.
Yeah, exactly.
I could do some Rise, you know, some Bane. I could do that and then go back and forth. But I think what really made the movie stands out too is the fact that that's when Phil gets killed. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just there's so many really good stuff in there.
And especially if you're keeping up with the shorts when you buy the movies, you get the first one, you get Iron Man, and there's that short with Phil Coulson. And you're like, who is this guy? And then you get Thor, and you got another one. And then you get Captain America, and you get another one. You're like, this guy's awesome. And then you're like, he's going to be in the movie? Hooray! Oh, no. What happened? And, you understand why they killed him. No. You're just not happy about it. No. And then they relegate him to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's sad.
That was not a great show.
I mean, it's such...
First season.
No.
It's not good.
It's not. I don't watch it now.
Batman is playing Galaga.
God, that scene is awesome.
Moving on. Klein, what is your bottom 3?
Okay, my fifth one's going to be controversial.
Okay.
Iron Man 3.
Really?
What?
I'm going to make this point right now, okay? Iron Man 3 had the best character development out of any of them. Besides the story being horrible, if you take out the Mandarin, if you really take that out and you take out what happened to Pepper or not, okay? You completely take that out and you see the story arc of what Tony went through in that movie.
Like a little kid scaring him in a restaurant?
Exactly, and he was just broken. And that's what I'm talking about, was that he had to regain some of that back. He was still broken from the events of all the other movies. And that's what, and it was just like, from Avengers, he was still broken. And I loved seeing that, and that's why it made my number 5. Not saying that it's like, I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to bring up the fact that the story development for his character was phenomenal in that movie.
I mean, you could have had an honorable mention.
Yeah, but I had to put it in number 5 because I honestly believed it, because I look at movies as character development.
Okay.
So all my top 5 are centered around character development and characters and feeling what they felt and what they went through. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these are going to be about Iron Man, not going to lie.
It's understandable. I mean, he is the centerpiece. He is the crown jewel of the MCU. You know what I'm saying? Going back to your pick, Iron Man 3.
Yes,
look, I understand,
and we can move on. It's not gonna.
No. We're gonna stay on this.
No. We need to talk about this. If you guys are gonna bust my balls that much over freaking Tom Welling being Pacha, we're gonna talk about.
Well, that's
this pick.
very deserved. Sir.
Listen, we're gonna talk about this pick. Look, yeah, the character development for Tony was phenomenal in that movie, and it was great to see that the events in Avengers did carry over to his next movie. What he saw, he was the only one who saw that, and to have that level of PTSD from that is completely understandable.
That's why I liked it, though, was the PTSD.
But
the storyline was horrible. I get that.
No, not even the storyline.
I am completely like, okay, I get that.
Not even the storyline. All of the other characters were terrible. Pepper Potts, it was the worst performance. What?
No, you said Pepper Potts and literally getting a migraine.
Pepper Potts was horrible in that movie. The Mandarin, do we need to talk about the Mandarin? Because
Ben Kingsley.
He is awful.
Ben Kingsley was a better Mandarin than the actual Mandarin. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then to go against the arc that Tony goes on, he fights the guy at the end with the extremist virus, and then he explodes all of his suits. And he does it for Pepper. But then in the next Iron Man, or not the next Iron Man, but then in the next Avengers, he has all of his suits back.
And it was funny because they did that and it was in the movie. It was on Christmas, wasn't it? And it came out in the summer. So
that's a Shane Black thing, though.
Jeez.
But if you remember though, him and Pepper weren't talking though in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, they were. They weren't talking in Civil War.
No, I'm pretty sure they weren't talking in Age of Ultron either. Because they were all talking about their women. There was a scene where they're all sitting around the bar and they're drinking one out and they're talking. Because Thor was mentioning Jane and then she was mentioning Tony was mentioning Pepper.
Yeah, but I thought that she was on a conference or something.
She was, but he also mentioned that they were having problems though. Did they?
See, I haven't watched Age of Ultron in a long time.
It's been a while. But that's Iron Man 3 though was my number 5 pick. My number 4 pick was Black Panther. Obviously, it was an amazing movie. And the
Understand
it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then number 3 was Infinity War for me.
So, yeah.
Infinity War had a lot of character development. I enjoyed
really
every character in that movie. Like, that was just well done all the way around.
My favorite line in Infinity War is, "Go get the wizard. We need the wizard. There he goes." It's so funny to me that Tony keeps calling Doctor Strange the wizard. I loved it. I loved every time he did it, too. Made me so happy.
No, I was just going to say Infinity War. I just saw it again just recently, and the movie is just, I loved it. I mean, Gamora, I mean, that movie was basically just a lot about her, and that's what I loved about the movie was her learning about her story, and, you know, the moment where, you know, Red Skull, and she thought she had him. She's like, "You don't love no one, you douche." and he's just like,
"Oh man, dude,
yep."
Red Skull's like, "I see where this is."
Yeah, Red Skull's like, "You're screwed."
He is not crying for himself.
Yeah. I mean that killed me. It was such a good movie.
And then also Thanos' character development too, though.
It was beautiful.
More of his character reveal.
Yeah,
who he was, and then also too, I love that the child Gamora asked him, you know, was it worth it? Was it? You know,
what did you lose?
Was it worth it? It was
everything.
Just like, that was awesome.
It really was very good, and it was really nice to see a Marvel movie just focus in on the villain.
Yeah,
when you had so many heroes, you could have gotten lost in all of them. And see, Infinity War, we were talking about dialogue and discussions a little bit earlier tonight. The dialogue in Infinity War is really good. And not just like, oh, it's good for a comic book movie. It's good, period. Like when Rocket Raccoon is talking to Thor, and he's like, my brother died, my mother's dead, my father's dead. What else do I have to lose? You feel that Thor is just at the bottom of the barrel, man. He is hit rock bottom. And then Rocket's like, well, I mean, I have stuff I could lose, but whatever.
But it humanized the god, though.
It really did.
And it was great to see that. Yeah.
All right, moving on. Chris, what's your number 2?
Number 2, I had Infinity War.
Really?
Yeah. Just and literally for all the things that you got that we've just been talking about. I mean, the way the movie starts for me, the best way you can open up a movie, Hulk getting completely destroyed, Loki dying. I mean,
man,
you can't ask for a better intro. I mean, you really can. I mean, when Hulk just comes, and he's like, we got a Hulk. Loki's like, we got a Hulk. Hulk comes and he starts beating up on Thanos, and Thanos just is like, all right, I had enough of this.
Yeah.
And just beats the crap out of the Hulk.
And he was just taking shot after shot after
Hulk
shot.
Was broken.
That shows the audience from there on out. If anyone from at this point is like, okay, who's this guy? Like, how strong is this guy? He just
laced.
He basically beat him with his arm behind his back.
So much so that the Hulk didn't want to come back. Like, that's just how bad he got beat.
Now, some people say, oh, it's because he had the Power Stone, and okay,
the Power Stone wasn't
granted.
Active, though. I went through and watched the videos where they said it wasn't active.
Exactly, but not only that.
Every time he used the stone, it was glowing.
Exactly.
And it wasn't.
Exactly. But I think because of what Hulk went through in this movie, when he does come back in Avengers 4, it is going to be a nightmare. He is going to destroy everything, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I hope he goes Worldbreaker Hulk on Titan.
Oh, man.
That would be so cool.
That would be sick.
I hope I see him just beat the hell out of Thanos.
Oh, you will.
Why don't
absolutely
see his fist in his face, just hammering him down into the ground.
What about
puny god?
What about the Spider-Man scene? I mean, granted, everyone was disappearing in like 3 seconds, and it took Spider-Man a whole like 3 minutes to disappear.
Well, that was because he had spider senses. He was fighting.
There you go.
And it was just so heartbreaking to see that scene too.
Oh
and that was
gosh.
improvised. That was the best thing about that. Was that they said, you die, improvise it. And they're like, he was like, okay. So he did it with Tony, and the two of them were just like, you felt that scene. Like that scene
soul
was like,
crushing. Absolutely.
It was I cried in the movie theater. I haven't been able to watch it again. I've only watched it once.
Didn't
really?
cry,
I haven't been able
but I
to go
teared
and
up
watch the
for
second
sure,
one.
right when that was going on.
Well, I mean, you really get the sense of Peter looks to Tony like a father. The father that he never had. You know, he never knew his dad. He lost Uncle Ben super early. Like, very early, because Aunt May is very young in this. So when he sees Tony and he's like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to die. Don't let me go. You're like, oh, no.
I think he's us. He's the audience. You know, it's like, you don't want to go. You know what I mean? It's just...
Do you know what character I really want to see how they affected, though? Rocket. Rocket is alone. He's broken now.
Yeah.
He is down. Because Groot, when he died, it's been released that Groot said dad when he died.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that was just like that moment and him having nothing now. His whole team's gone.
Right.
It's him by himself, and now he's surrounded by strangers.
Yeah.
And a man that he flew to go get his hammer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's like the only thing that he is surrounded by no one that he knows.
I will say, though, of all the Guardians, he is the most equipped to adapt to that situation.
Yeah.
He is.
You know what I'm saying? Rocket is adaptive, where if it was Drax, who knows what Drax would do in that situation?
Not to
know
mention, I
what
think
Drax
everybody's favorite. I think everybody loves Rocket Raccoon. It's
They
like
do.
Probably the favorite.
But he's, though, in the next movie, though, is going to be the Debbie Downer. He's going to be the one with no hope. He's going to be like, what's the freaking point? There's no point. They're all gone. Like, that's what his lines are probably going to be like.
Think
like,
so?
he's just going to be down. Yeah, he's not having
Well,
any
going
hope
into what
anymore.
you said about the Hulk, I mean, I can see him coming in with some crazy cannons. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
him
yeah.
just losing his mind.
Because the more upset Hulk gets, the stronger he gets. So, perpetually, he is going to always be stronger than Thanos. Man, I can't wait to see him just break his
I
face.
can't wait to see the next one, dude. Like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good movie. Because
It really is.
all the characters that were in this one, we didn't get that much screen time of them, like in the next one.
I don't think we
Like,
will
there
in the
was,
next
two
one
or
either.
three of them that we got a lot of screen time for, but the other ones, though, we're going to get a lot more now.
I think what they also did really good with the movie, though, is what they did with Nebula. You know, you really got to see you through the Guardians movies, you got to see that there was a difference. Clearly, Gamora was way favored. But you see how much Thanos just doesn't care about Nebula. It's not like, hey, you lost and I'm just going to replace an item with you. No, like he just couldn't care less about her at all.
At all.
Not at all.
And like,
And she's now with Tony. The
right,
two of
on
them are up
Titan.
on that planet by themselves.
So I have a question for you then. If Tony and Nebula are stuck on Titan right now at the end of Infinity War, when do you think Avengers 4 picks up?
I think Avengers 4, it could either take place a couple days after, because they probably find a spaceship and are able to go. A couple days after, or it's going to be a couple years, and they're going to be all broken.
If it's a couple years, do you feel like people will feel cheated by not seeing Tony and Nebula get off Titan?
I think that's the thing. It's like,
Because as
I
of
know
right
that
now,
once this is done, Iron Man is going to be, Tony's going to be the one to drive the move to get everyone back.
oh, absolutely.
He's going to be the one fueling this one. And then Cap is going to be the one saying, let's go, we got to move on. Like,
You
we got to
think
keep
so?
going. If it's not fresh.
See, because
If it's been a couple years, Captain America's the one to say, we got to let go.
See, I think the movie's going to kind of just pick up right where it left off.
Right.
I personally think it will. Because, I mean, you got Samuel L. Jackson in the credits calling out that
for Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I don't think she
Not
would
Miss
take
Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Oh, that's right.
Miss Marvel's a
And-
completely different character.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it
that's
would,
Jean.
you know, I mean, I don't
Early
think she's
Jean.
going to take her sweet time. I mean, I guess we're going to know more when the movie comes out into how she travels, how long it's going to take. I don't know. But I
Right.
can't imagine it being years or months later. You know what I'm saying?
Probably a week at most.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, isn't Captain Marvel on a base in the Midwest somewhere?
No, this movie, the Captain Marvel movie takes place in the 1990s.
Yeah, it's taking place in the 90s. Her
90s.
her movie is
Really?
going to be a go backwards.
Right,
And
no,
it's
I
going to
know.
have, you know, Samuel L. Jackson. So I guess we're going to see, you know, the whole relationship leading up to at that moment when Samuel L. Jackson hits the button. I guess we're
Right.
going to see that whole relationship, that story.
And
But-
see, I thought for whatever reason it was happening in the 80s, not
No,
the
it's
90s.
the
No, it's the 90s.
Oh, okay.
And on top of that, too, she's going to be trapped. She's trapped in the quantum realm. That's where she goes to power up. She may not be trapped there. She may be there just meditating and practicing her powers.
Did you
Because she has
guys
the
see
ability to
Ant-Man
do
and
that,
the
though.
Wasp?
I did not spoil it. It's okay.
Okay. At the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, it has nothing to do with Infinity War.
What's at the end?
It's got a lot to do with Civil War, but nothing to do with Infinity War. Credits roll. Halfway through the credits, Scott Lang goes into the quantum realm to get the energy to heal everybody. Thanos dusts him and dusts all three of them. Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, and the Wasp, who are all up on Earth outside the quantum realm. Scott can't get out. Right now, he is stuck in the quantum realm. And that's really cool to me.
And that's where I think that's where Captain Marvel can save him. Because Captain Marvel can do that. She can go through there.
See, I didn't know that. I think that's
there's
really
a whole theory
interesting.
about it. There's like tons of videos and stuff about it because in the comic books she draws her power from there or something.
See, I don't know much about Captain Marvel.
I don't know too much about her, but in either case, I think it's safe to say we're really looking forward to this movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do a review on it.
Oh, absolutely. And when we do, we're going to have a nice little 3-minute review where I say, go see it. Klein says go see it. And Chris says go see it. And then we go immediately into spoilers.
Right away.
Moving on, though, my number 2 was Age of Ultron.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, that's
Hawkeye. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so what you're saying is Hawkeye in that movie places it number 2 for you?
Hawkeye, Iron Man, and Cap. All 3 of them.
I cannot agree with you on that.
I know you can't agree with me. You're going to hate me on this one. I know. I'm going to eat this one. But, like, I really enjoyed seeing the humanity of the team in that movie. Because that's what that one was about, was the humanity of the team.
I mean, I like what they made Hawkeye relevant. You know what I'm saying? I guess, they made you go, hey, oh yeah, Hawkeye's a person.
I was the only one that was able to fight off the mind control.
Yeah. I remember when Age of Ultron was coming out, everyone was saying, Hawkeye's gonna die. Hawkeye's gonna die. Yep. Hawkeye's gonna die. Then it came out, and like, oh God, don't kill Hawkeye.
Civil War, they said Hawkeye's gonna die. And then Infinity War, they said Hawkeye's gonna die.
No, I read this whole thing on the, they were like, you know why, the Russo brothers, you know why Hawkeye isn't in Infinity War? And they're like, why? Every movie that Hawkeye's in, they always defeat the bad guy.
Huh. Was that on the director's cut?
I guess so. Like one of the
That's really interesting.
That's awesome.
But they were like, yeah, we can't put him in there. Every time he's in there, he would have won. He would have beat them. he would have just shot an arrow right through his eye.
Shot an arrow at the exact second he goes to snap and messes up the snap.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you know Hawkeye could have done that.
I will say the one thing I do like about Age of Ultron, up until like the midpoint of the movie and then the last part I can really care less about, but I love the whole when they're in the penthouse and they're just talking and hanging around.
That is a great scene.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, you got to see the characters and you got to see they were just
and then
humans.
when you have what's his name with Tony with Iron Man's hand trying to pull up Thor's hammer, that was
so
great.
Funny. Yeah.
And then the fact that they're all arguing like, hey, if I put that hammer in the elevator and it goes up, does
Am I lifting the hammer?
Is it lifting the hammer? Is the elevator worthy? I just love that banter. That was great.
And I also enjoyed James Spader in that movie as Ultron was just phenomenal. Like he was really good. Brought that character to life. Like it was a good, enjoyable character in that movie. Yeah. It kind of falls apart towards the end, but for the main beginning part though, it was really good in my opinion. I enjoyed all the character development. You got to see more of them or not. The Hulk destroyed countless stuff, and that was messing with Banner. And you got to see a lot of this stuff that a lot of character development with characters we don't see character development with.
See, to that end, I really, really liked all the stuff between Bruce and Natasha.
In that one?
Yeah, that was really good. Like that scene when Bruce goes up to the bar and Black Widow's behind it, and she's bartending. She's like, they had that banter back and forth. I think it was really cool. Like, that was really good. I completely butchered it, but it was really good dialogue in the movie.
Yeah. No,
it was also my favorite Stan Lee cameo.
Excelsior.
Oh, yeah.
He got hammered.
Yeah.
Off Thor's magic.
Excelsior.
We served in Vietnam. We can handle this.
Yeah.
Pass it here, Sonny.
Yep. That's great.
What was your number 2, Bryce?
It's another team movie. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best movies Marvel has ever done. Absolutely.
At the very least, it is their most surprising movie that they've ever done. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was completely shocking. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought, oh, we're gonna do a freaking movie about a raccoon and a talking tree, and it's gonna make gangbuster money.
Yep.
Absolutely not. Nobody thought that. And then it came out and it was great. There's 2 or 3 movies in my life that I watched it, walked back to the box office, bought a ticket, and went back in. Guardians was one of them. I didn't even do that for Infinity War. I almost did, but the only reason I didn't was because I didn't have my wallet.
Nah, I can see that.
And, talk about character development. To see little Peter reaching out for his mom, reaching out for Bryce Dallas Howard. And then...
Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yeah.
It was?
Yep. Then she dies, and then he gets taken away, and then... Oh my God, it was just such a good movie. The character development in that is just phenomenal. And it happens so slowly and effortlessly. Like when Peter sees all of the cybernetics in Rocket, and he's like, oh wow, this little guy's been through a bunch of crap. And then when Rocket and Drax are drinking at the bar, and Rocket starts crying, you're like, no, what do you make a raccoon cry for? It's so sad. And then when Groot saves everybody, God, I love this movie. I gotta go home and watch this movie now.
The movie was really good. It was surprising too.
They beat him with a dance off.
Yeah, that movie had the best dance battle scene I've ever seen.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, and then the
White
best
Chicks,
music list
nothing
for
on
sure.
it.
Oh yeah, that sound score, that music score.
The music was
amazing.
just insane.
When Drax pets Rocket, it's devastating.
Yeah.
But that movie though was surprisingly good. Like you went in there, if you weren't a comic book nerd, you had no idea who they were.
Yeah.
You went in there.
I am a comic book nerd, and I had no idea.
That's not
who they
even
were.
true because I'm a comic book nerd, and I had to do a little bit of research. I heard of them, and I saw them, if anything, in crossover events. And I loved Rocket in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, he was great.
But other than that, not you didn't know much about them, their villains, and what they did. And the movie it was such a good movie. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I can see that being number 2.
Yeah, that was a good number 2.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're all bashing on Klein tonight. And
Hey, it's all right though, man. I'll take it.
Klein, let's get your number 1 out of the way.
My number 1 was Captain America: Winter Soldier. By far the
That's
best
a good movie.
Marvel movie ever made.
I'm not going to argue with that. You really can't argue with that.
There's nothing to complain about that movie.
So what is it that you like about it? Is it the action, or what is it that you like about it?
It was the character developments. Again, it was just you got to see more of Cap's development, and Cap has a great story arc. I love his.
He
story
really
arc.
does.
Like throughout all the movies and whatnot, his story arc has to be one of my favorites next to Iron Man. The two of them they're just really all over. Like just
well,
to me, his is the most compelling. I like his the most.
Really?
Over Tony's. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
sure.
definitely. Oh, mine too. Captain America's number 1 for me on that point. But like, that movie just really showed you who he was and how much he really cared about his friend Bucky.
Oh yeah.
And then Civil War just amplified it even more how much he cared about him. So it was just like you got to see a lot of who Cap was, and Cap's true to his heart, and that's why I love Winter Soldier, because that's all it was about. It was about him being true.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to argue that movie because it's so entertaining to watch while it's giving you such deep character development. The opening scene where he just jumps out the plane and lands on the boat, it's one of the funniest scenes to me, because when there are scenes in movies that are just so over the top with their violence that they don't need to be, like in The Dark Knight Rises when the guy's running up on the tank and the guy just boots him in the face, I think it's hysterical. So when Captain America is just sprinting like a maniac around this boat and a guy turns around, he doesn't have time to pull up his gun and he boots him in the chest and he goes flying off the boat.
And you know he's dead.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
And
it was so funny to me.
One of my first scenes was when he was outside running with Falcon.
Yeah, that was really
great.
A
fun scene. It was,
and that showed you his character too. He's like, hey, this is just who I am.
Dude, the knife fight with Bucky and Cap. I mean, come on. You name a better knife fight. I mean, I know there is, but I mean, it's some action that, you appreciate because you're not seeing CGI. Right. You're not seeing this over the crap stuff. That was such a cool shot. The whole chase scene was awesome.
And then you have that just absolutely legendary scene in the elevator
Oh my gosh, that was one of my favorite scenes ever.
Anybody want to leave?
Before we start this? It's just like, yes.
I would have just like fell on the corner and just crawled into a ball.
I'm sorry, Captain. I didn't mean to. All right, Chris, what's your number one, buddy?
It might surprise you guys. It's Spider-Man: Homecoming, my favorite Marvel movie.
I will have to say that is one of my favorites too. This was hard to do top 5 over because there was one scene in Homecoming that just made me love that movie.
Homecoming, I think partly because it was number one. I expected this movie to kind of suck. I didn't care about
trash.
it. We had 2 Spider-Man movies before this, two, different directors, universes. They crashed and they burned at the end, with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Tom Holland and, I didn't know Tom Holland at the time and I was like,
Me neither.
This kid, I don't know. They're going back to high school. There was nothing really about the movie that had me going, I'm excited to see it. Then they hire Michael Keaton as the villain.
As the Vulture? Oh my God.
And I got to
question that because you played Birdman and Birdman.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I was just like, come on.
I never walked into, I would say in all the Marvel movies, I walked into this one with the lowest of any of the movies with the lowest expectations.
Really?
Which is why I enjoy it and I like it so much.
Sure.
It's so nice when you can get a movie that isn't, I know Tony's in it, but that isn't a crossover.
Sure.
And then we not just that, you get to see the progression of the character of Happy, which was just awesome. Happy is hilarious.
He really is good in that movie.
The movie it's a movie where I'm constantly smiling through the whole movie. And I think Tom Holland is a amazing Spider-Man. That scene when they're in the car and he has the gun and he was taking them to the prom.
Yeah.
And he turned around and he figures it out and then he figures it out and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The dialogue in that scene, that was awesome.
My favorite scene, though, which really sold me on Spider-Man, on this Spider-Man, like really made me fall in love with him, was when he was underneath the rubble. And he was like, they need Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Come on, you can got this, Spider-Man.
It's probably the most heroic in all the movies because you have this kid trapped and he was panicking and you felt panic too. Like it's kind of a claustrophobic scene because you're like, I'd be freaking out there too.
And it shows you that he is a kid. Mm-hmm. He's a kid and he's in over his head. Mm-hmm. And that's when he realizes it. And then at the end of the movie, he tells Tony, I'm not ready to be a part of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And Tony's like, oh, okay, yeah. That was
and they did
here.
Just the right amount of Tony. And it was perfect because, a lot of people thought it was going to be just sidekick Spider-Man with Tony. And, I know a lot of people complain about the spider suit because, it's kind of like an Iron Man suit. I'm not big on it, but I enjoyed what they did with it. You know what I'm saying? I see why they did it.
Especially for the story, the way it went with him ending up in that warehouse and not being able to get out. He took that time, like Spider-Man would, to learn everything about his suit. And if it was just him in a montage, this movie is supposed to call back to Ferris Bueller's Day Off and stuff like that. You don't want a music montage in your Spider-Man movie. You just don't. And so when he has somebody to talk to, even though it's just his suit, that's great.
I love his cast too. His friend,
Ned.
Oh my gosh, he's hilarious.
I had a friend that was upset with that they gave him a friend.
Why?
Because in Spider-Man doesn't have friends. He's a loner. That's why he kept saying he's a loner. He's a loner.
But I think that's what made this movie kind of refreshing. But
they did that to tell the story, though. They needed him to be the one questioning his powers and everything, so that way we could explain it to the audience, so the audience can learn it. And that's what he did.
But Spider-Man, and more importantly, Peter Parker, did have friends. Like, he wasn't just by himself all the time, 100%.
But he loses everyone constantly, though.
And but to lose somebody, you have to have somebody.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
The kid, I don't know if they're going to go this route, but in the comics, he ends up becoming the Hobgoblin.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to go down that route, if they will or not. I don't know.
Think so.
But, it's not like it's so far-fetched that he has a cool friend who's willing to do stuff with him. You know what I'm saying?
And really quick, let's backtrack on that.
I'm your guy.
I'm your guy in the chair.
Dude, when the teacher walks in on him and he's like, what are you looking at? He's like, I'm looking at porn. Like the way he did it was great.
Like he was gonna accept that over the fact telling her the truth.
I'm Spider-Man's friend. But just go back to what you were saying real quick. Ned isn't a cool character.
No.
Ned's not a cool kid in school. He's Peter's friend, and it makes sense. Yep, I could see Peter Parker being friends with this guy. Yeah, kind of. You know, I mean, he's a lovable loser, but he's still kind of a loser.
I'm a lovable loser.
I mean, and that's the thing. I never got out of what's his name, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this kid playing skateboarding. You know, he was just like your Starbucks kid. You're like, I see you in every school, all over the place. There's nothing geeky or kind of nerdy about you that people would make fun of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I can appreciate that.
And that's why Andrew Garfield, I felt fit a lot better.
See, I really liked Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
So did I.
I thought his Spider-Man was great. Peter Parker kind of fell off, but I loved his Spider-Man.
Well, he wasn't what was wrong with the
That's
second.
true. But Tom Holland really encompasses everything you want in a Spider-Man character.
One of my favorite lines too was he was talking about I think this is the first Spider-Man that we get that he instead of quoting something his uncle said, he says it himself. He says, with someone like me who have powers like this and you don't do something, it is your fault. Like that, like to me was such like a good line. Like he said it himself. Like he feels that way. And I think that's going to really push the character into being better.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it will too. I'm really interested to see what Far From Home is.
Yeah.
Oh, Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal. It's gonna be crazy.
Dude.
But getting back to the villain though, real quick.
He's great.
I mean, he knocked it out of the park.
He really did. And I'm happy he's still alive.
Yeah, me too.
Because he's coming back.
Sinister Six, that would
Scorpion's already introduced.
That's gonna be amazing.
That would be cool if they can somehow incorporate that. I mean, that's a ton of villains. But,
Sure. I
mean, he did such a good job, and he was another sympathetic villain. It's like, Marvel is not known for their villains.
At all.
Especially in the cinematic universe. You got Loki, who's really not, I wouldn't call a crazy
I don't even
villain.
like Loki though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't view him as like this crazy sinister villain. He's like a trickster.
Fangirls though just love him.
Oh yeah,
they really do.
Stop. Just stop. He has oily hair. There's nothing about him that's attractive. Just stop.
And then you have Thanos, and
Right.
then Red Skull. I think was a good villain though for the Captain America. I thought it was a good villain.
Yeah, that's the problem. He wasn't in it very much.
And then you have this movie with why do I keep forgetting his
Vulture.
name? Yeah, and he did such a good job. You feel for him.
Mm-hmm.
When they come in on the construction site and he's like, listen, I paid for all these trucks and I had all these guys, how am I supposed to pay them? What am I supposed to do? And they were basically like, screw you.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah, it sucks to be you. And he, you really feel empathy for him.
And see, that was so surprising to me that he was such a good villain because, like you said, Marvel never focused on their villains. Then you had Homecoming come out, and Vulture was amazing. Then Black Panther came out, and Killmonger was great. Then immediately after that, you had Infinity War, and it focused on Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of hope that this is Marvel going in another direction now, because we have our characters. We have our heroes.
We know
Let's
exactly.
know our villains.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is why when Black Panther got kicked off the waterfall, I was fine with that. I'm like, I hope he's dead. Like, I want to see what Killmonger does. I want to see what he does. Like, this is so great. I was completely on board with what he was all about.
Let's see Killmonger go north and invade M'Baku.
Yeah, let's just do it.
What was your number one though, Bryce?
My number one actually was already mentioned. This is your number 5. I love The Avengers. The Avengers is such a good movie, and really, it's almost more so for sentimental reasons than
it's just
it's
a great
perfect movie.
masterpiece. Yeah,
exactly. If I was doing that, then I would say Guardians of the Galaxy is my top of the list.
honestly, my honorable mention, I was going to actually put, that was the fight that I was having between Avengers and the very first Iron Man. Because the very first Iron Man is so good.
It is.
Everything up.
So good. But I feel like the Avengers, from there on out, they've dominated. They've done such a good job. I mean, and just the movie itself. I mean, second or third third highest grossing movie of all time?
I think it's the third. Yeah, it's the third because you have Avatar, Titanic.
I don't know if it is still anymore. I don't know. But in any case, I remember
was at
when
one
it came
time.
out, it was just insane. There was Avengers everywhere.
Exactly. And it was the first time we saw it. We had the last 5 years of Marvel movies. Hulk, we didn't really know was in that.
Well, they
that whole category.
they say it's still canon, right?
He is, but what I'm saying is in the movie,
We don't talk about that.
but in the movie they never bring up the Avengers until like the very end. And
The only character from that movie too that is carried over is Admiral Ross. That's it.
yeah, I think
Admiral
you're right.
Ross is the only character that kept going through those.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right. And then you had Iron Man, you had Thor, Captain America. I think you might have had Iron Man 2 before Avengers, and then you had Avengers.
No,
and
you had. I think it was Iron Man 2 and then Captain America. I think Captain America
was the last one to come out before
Yeah,
Avengers.
then
I was
Avengers
just
came
running
out.
them down.
Yeah.
Because he woke up in New York City in Times Square,
Right.
and it really threw him off.
But man, to see all of them come together like that,
And
it was mind blowing
too. It was so like, it was that build up that just made you go, oh my god, yes, finally.
Exactly. And Joss Whedon did such a good job. And it's really cool to see Joss Whedon on point in Avengers and Avengers 2 when you see him go over to, I don't want to bring it up again, but Justice League. And arguably, the worst parts about Justice League are because of Joss Whedon.
But I think it wasn't him though. I think he just got paid to do it.
Well, he rewrote and reshot a bunch of stuff with
Because he was told to.
Yeah, he was told to.
Sure, but it was
I want to blame it
still.
on the studio. I don't think it was his fault. I blame it on the studio.
I feel like if this, I think it's 100%.
But the problem is the studio didn't write the script. The studio didn't go out and write the bad jokes.
But they told him though, make it funnier. And
Sure.
you can't make the Justice League laugh. You can't do that. That's where he messed up. Was that the
Exactly.
studio told him to do it though.
Yeah.
But he still wrote
But that's
jokes.
the thing. He had. I mean,
What
but
are you
you got to
do? When someone
understand.
tells you do your job, you do your job.
They hired him,
Sure.
and then what I think is they hired him, and they were like, "Can you work with this?" And he's like, "I'll do my
I'll try.
best. I'll try."
How much
and
are you paying me?
they
Oh,
pay
yeah, I'll
you.
try.
They pay him, however much he needs, and he goes in there and tries to make a Franken movie.
And that's what it was. And you could tell and you could see the seams.
Oh, for sure.
But again, that's not what we're here.
Yeah. Stay
But
focused.
Avengers is such a shining moment for Joss Whedon. It was really freaking great.
It was.
It was really great. All right. Klein, give me your number 5 to 1 real quick. Let's run them down.
Okay, so I know 2 of these aren't going to make it in there. So I have Iron Man 3, Black Panther, Infinity War, Age of Ultron, and Captain America, Winter Soldier.
All right. Chris, give me your 5 to 1.
I have the Avengers at my 5, Black Panther, Civil War, Infinity War, and then Spider-Man.
All right. And mine was Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Avengers Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the first Avengers movie. So guys, this is actually not going to be as bad as we think because we actually do have quite a bit of crossover here.
Yeah,
You and I-
Infinity War and Black Panther both made short lists.
Yeah.
All 3 of ours.
Yeah, all of ours.
And me and Chris both have Avengers. So, the question is, where are we placing them?
I say 5 would be Black Panther.
I
4
would
would
agree.
be Infinity War, and then 3 would be Avengers.
I would agree with that because Black Panther, it barely made your list, Klein.
Yeah.
It barely made mine, but then again, it was number 4 before Infinity War came out. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like 5 is a good spot for Black Panther. And, I don't know, it's just a really good solo movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what's our number 4?
I would say Infinity War because all 3 of us have that on our list.
Okay, but then don't you think it should be then above Avengers, who me and Chris only had Avengers?
I don't know because Avengers is a nostalgic feeling to it. So
It does.
Mm-hmm. But I still do like Infinity War over Avengers.
Okay, so then maybe put Avengers
yeah.
as number 4, and then
I mean,
Infinity 3
nostalgically,
as
I have Avengers. They're in there. They're in my top 5 because of the nostalgia feel for what it represents and everything. But I mean, if I had to pick between watching Avengers or
Infinity War?
Infinity War. I'm going to definitely pick Infinity War.
Yeah. So then maybe Avengers is number 4, and then Infinity War number 3.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have number 2 and number 1 to fill. I'm actually very proud of myself. I have quite a number of picks on this list. Hooray for me.
Well, I think we all have 2 picks on this list.
Yeah.
You guys have 3 right now. I have 2.
Right. So, Klein, who else do you have in?
I have Age of Ultron, which isn't going to be put in there, so I'm okay with that. But Captain America Winter Soldier, though.
Captain America Winter Soldier.
And then I had Civil War in there.
See, I think that Winter Soldier is a better movie in general than Civil War.
Okay.
I like Civil War. I've watched it again recently. There is slow parts to it. Where in where in Winter Soldier, there are slow parts to it, but they are meant to be there.
Yeah.
You know?
It was paced very well.
And let's not
they're
forget...
completely different movies, too, though. I mean,
yeah, that's true, too.
It's more of like a spy movie.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
Yeah. You just have more... Like, you just have more of everything that you want from your characters, I think, in my opinion anyway, in Winter Soldier than you do in Civil War.
I'm not going to argue between the two.
Plus, the fallout from Winter Soldier is huge. Civil War has been felt, but we have seen what has happened with S.H.I.E.L.D. and all of that since Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier was the domino effect to the other movies.
Exactly. So I would put Winter Soldier at number 2.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue against that.
So then what would be our number 1 then? I mean, number 1 would have to be between Guardians of the Galaxy and
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Oh, dude, they're both movies that you walked into not wanting a lot. But I would say that there's more development with Spider-Man, though. Spider-Man would have to be number 1.
And the thing is just
I can't
barely.
put Spider-Man at number 1 on this list.
Oh. I mean, I can see the argument for Guardians of the Galaxy for sure. But I mean, I just like the fact that it is finally just like a solo focused movie. You know what I'm saying? It's just the one hero. I mean, again, I know Tony's in it, but he's not really fighting his battles, Spider-Man's battles. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but let me make this argument to you then for Guardians, because you do have to build your heroes. You have to flesh out Peter and Rocket and Drax and Gamora.
So then maybe Guardians
and
of the
Groot.
Galaxy then.
But then you also have to bring them all together as a team. I think they did more with what they had with Guardians than they did with Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is wonderful.
I mean, I can't argue it. I mean, they're both really good movies. I mean, it's just your preference.
Right.
For me, I like the fact that it's just a solo movie with Spider-Man. I just kind of like it. Very down to earth.
All right, so our top 5 is Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War. We have
Captain America Winter Soldier is number 2.
We have Captain America Winter Soldier at number 2, and we have Guardians of the Galaxy at number 1. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
It was fun.
Absolutely.
It was fun always.
We'll do it again. And that's the end. For this week, anyway. I wanted to thank you all for listening. You can find me on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, and SoundCloud. You can also find me on DigiFox Studios' new network, the Fox Playbox. Type in foxplaybox.com and you can find all the shows in our network. If you would be so kind as to like, favorite, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. It does help me get up through the ranks so more people can find my show. Don't forget to head over to my Facebook page or my Instagram page and participate in this week's Disney Duel, which is going to be, would you like to see Disney build this 4-star resort out in Anaheim or no? Tonight's hidden Mickey Hunt clue is, wenches run round chasing the pirates. They run away, they don't want to be hit. In front of a window, the 3 circles billow. Look left when the fires are lit. And that's gonna do it for tonight. Thank you so much for listening. And until next Saturday, this is Bryce saying have a good night. And may all your endings be happy. And well, you know the rest.